Good morning, everybody, and thank you and welcome at our Spring DTRAIN 2021 for our DSO educational series. At this time, I would like to introduce Teresa Smith, our DSO for Auxiliary Food Services. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. Our auxiliary food service is known as AUXFS. For the District of Ada Eastern, we will be discussing what is involved in becoming an AUXFS, as well as what exactly is the job, what do we do? So, one moment. The first question we have are a few questions of what might interest you in the auxiliary program for food service. Do you enjoy to cook and serve for others? Typically at your holiday vacation meals, your home gatherings, are you the one that organizes the meal or makes sure everything is appropriately set out the way it's needed? Do you have the physical stamina to serve in a galley and prepare 3 meals a day? Do you have time available to get away and travel when called upon, possibly at a moment's notice? Can you get away for a week or even longer, up to even a couple of months? Would you like to serve alongside the active duty Coast Guard? If you can say yes to these questions, then we definitely want you to think about the AUXFS program. It may be just what you're looking for. A little bit about the history of the AUXFS program. After 9/11, the need for the auxiliary to do more in supporting the gold side was made apparent. In 2006, the AUXFS program was established with a national pilot. In 2009, the AUXFS program was approved, and in 2010, the training and qualification guide was approved and training began. In 2013, they did rename the AUXFS program to the AUXFS program, and that is the Auxiliary Food Services, and training was updated to show that update. Our AUXFS goals, the first primary goal we have is to provide relief and support for the culinary specialist, the CS, at a Coast Guard dining facility for any leave or training. Sometimes that can be a single day. They have a training session to go to, or it could be a major training or a medical leave they have to take. We also want to demonstrate the diversity and the importance of the auxiliary. We want to provide assistance to the Coast Guard and the auxiliary VIP special events. And again, we want to support the Coast Guard and the auxiliary in any of the emergency situations that arise, whether it's hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, or any situation where food service on site would be needed. So what possible benefits could the AUXFS program provide or receive? For the auxiliary, your recruiting and retention would be improved. We get to show our new tasks and skills that we can build and educate and promote. It's great public relations. And we also, again, get to demonstrate just how diverse and all of our capabilities we have out as auxiliarists that we can offer the Coast Guard. For the Coast Guard, it enhances their mission readiness and their execution capabilities. If their CS is out, oftentimes an underway mission may be canceled or delayed as they refigure who's going to work in the galley. If their crew has to cover the galley, then their deck work may be delayed. So therefore, having an auxiliary FS in the galley keeps them focused on their mission. It relieves the Coast Guardsmen for other tasks and training. They can step away and complete that training, and the galley is taken care of. It fills the critical CS vacancy. We don't have to pull other crew members in to work the galley if we have an AUXFS on board in the galley. It improves the morale and the well-being of the Coast Guardsmen. There's nothing like working a hard day, whether it's out in the hot summer or in the cold winter. When you come in for that lunch break or breakfast or dinner break and there's a good, warm, filling meal there, it keeps you motivated to continue your work. So we want to give them what they need in order to keep that morale high. So, in serving as an AUXFS, do you enjoy cooking for possible large groups? Most of our inland cutters in our district have about 20 crew members. Do you have a positive attitude for serving others? Do you want to please them? Add that little extra touch to make the meal perfect. Can you travel for days, weeks, and up to a month? You don't have to do all of it, but is it a possibility of interest? Are you physically capable of preparing the meals, 3 meals a day or 2 meals, for multiple days in a row? And you must be current in all of your required trainings. In the 8th Eastern District, we have 6 cutters on our river. We have the CGC Osage in Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. We have the Ouachita in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The Chippewa and the Cimarron are both in Buchanan, Tennessee, just west of Nashville. The Chena is in Hickman, Kentucky, far western side of Kentucky. And the Obion is in Owensboro, Kentucky. So looking at the geographics of where our cutters are, that might aid in your capabilities of wanting to serve. We are not limited to the 8th Eastern District. If a call out is needed, you could be asked if you're available to go to another area. But our 8th Eastern District covers these 6 cutters. Now, qualifications and training. How do you become an AUXFS? It can take 3 to 6 months to truly become qualified. We do these in phases. Your first phase is to do a lot of the prerequisites. Get all of your current training mandates done, all of your courses, your introduction to risk management, your 100 and 700, your health screening with your doctor or a military physician, and to begin your hepatitis A shot. There are 2 steps to that, so we ask you to go on and get the first shot. The next phase would be to actually attend an AUXFS training class. They are typically Friday through Sunday, and we work through all of the requirements and training information, and there is a short exam at the end. Once you've completed phase 1 and phase 2, then we work with you and ensure that you work alongside a culinary specialist with a galley, and we complete your PQSs in order to sign off that you are qualified in the galley to work for the galley. At this point, you need to have your Hep A shot number 2. You will not be able to serve until you actually have both shots completed. Once you become certified, what are the requirements to stay qualified? Your sanitation course and your bloodborne pathogen courses are both annual courses you have to take. Whoops, excuse me, sorry about that. During the COVID situation, we do have to fill out that high-risk assessment form and update that if any changes occur. You could receive either non-reimbursable orders or reimbursable orders, but you would need to be under orders if you're serving as an AUXFS. Once you've completed your mission, you will then do an after-action report that is submitted to the DSO-FS. There are 12 hours required to maintain your currency as an AUXFS, working with the gold side. I'm going to add and show a few pictures. This is a galley of one of our inland cutters. Your galley space is very limited. In the upper right-hand picture, you see the table, and there's typically 2 small tables that seats about 4 individuals. So you can get about 8 to 10 in your galley at a time, and they'll rotate through. Then from the door, looking into the galley, you see your actual counter and cooking space, your galley. The mess area is in front, the galley is yours. There's usually a counter space, a sink, a small counter space. Behind it, you'll have a small stove that has the oven, a griddle, and 2 eyes. Then there's the sanitizer. You do not have a dishwasher. Dishes are manually washed. And then your reefer and freezer. And your galley is rather small on your inland cutters. A coastal cutter, as you see, obviously your coastal cutters have anywhere from 100 to 250 crew on board. Their galleys are larger. But also your CSs multiply. On the inland cutters, there's 1 CS. So if that CS is out and you are covering for that CS, the galley is yours. If you are aboard a coastal cutter, excuse me, sorry about that. If you are aboard a coastal cutter, you are one of anywhere from 3 to 5 cooks in the galley. So you're there assisting. So you have your inland cutters and your coastal cutters. These are just a few pictures of the ones we've served with. The top one is the northern, and the bottom picture there is another inland cutter, and a couple of our CSs. We do build the morale, and oftentimes you become accepted as a crew member, and that's a great drive for some of us as AUXFS as to why we do this. We enjoy the camaraderie that we can build with the crews, and they treat us like one of their crewmen, with a tremendous appreciation of what we're doing for them. What recognition might you receive? If you're looking for that and you're wanting to know about it, at district meetings, district conferences, you could possibly get district awards. You could earn the Cutterman Award. That takes about 250 hours. You have to spend 52 days underway for 2 years in a row. So that one is something you can mark as something you want to strive to achieve and work on. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you could actually become accepted as typically a crew member aboard that cutter. I've listed on this slide some references that would be helpful if you wanted to go into our websites and look up the AUXFS program, what kind of trainings you need, what materials you need to look at, and these are a list that would be available. So in closing, we just need to ask that question again. Now that you've seen an introduction to the AUXFS program, you see what we do, we see what was required. If you truly are interested and you have the time availability and the physical capabilities of working on the cutter, then we definitely would love to hear from you. My name is Teresa Smith, the DSO-FS for 8th Eastern, and I would look forward to hearing from you. At this time, I would like for Carl to come, and he's going to give a presentation regarding our vessel exam program.
Hello, this is Carl Moseball. I'm the DSOVE, District Staff Officer for Vessel Exams in District 082 Eastern. I have been an auxiliarist for 9 years. I have a huge background in recreational boating safety and recreational boating. I've been a recreational boater in a lot of different bodies of water: Atlantic Ocean, Gulf of Mexico, St. Lawrence Seaway, the Ohio River, and Lake Ontario. I spent 25 years in Florida, and some of the conditions in the jetties going out of South Florida into the Atlantic are very treacherous, and boaters that are going on vacation, towing a boat down there from the Northeast or the Midwest, need to be very cautious of where they go and where they put in. You might wonder what made me join the auxiliary. Back in 1996, I have kind of a high-end powerboat, and I was going to the Bahamas and with my wife, which had been going under chemotherapy at that time, but she was feeling good. So I went to the Bahamas, and then she twisted an ankle, and so we got back on the boat and we came back to the mainland of Florida. About 2/3 of the way across, which was about 60 or 70 miles, she hurt her back. And so I called 911, and then I ended up getting in touch with a Coast Guard station at Port Everglades, which I learned yesterday that our OTO at that time, slightly about that time, he worked there. So we compared notes on how treacherous some of those jetties are. And so the Coast Guard came and rescued us. I was able to drive the boat. My wife was still in my boat. We went to their station. They had an ambulance waiting there at the dock, took my wife to the hospital, and she had 3 compacted vertebrae. And so learning and experiencing how the Coast Guard active duty in their 33-foot boat treated us. I mean, I didn't know anybody there. I didn't know the OTO then. He didn't actually come till like the next year, but we were talking about this last night. And so that's one of the kind of pretty awesome experiences I had with the Coast Guard way before I joined. My number one focus with the auxiliary is what we call our RBS Award, Recreational Boating Safety Award. I got that award in 2015. Our Chief of Staff got his award in 2015, but there's only about 5% of our membership that have received that award. Now, I'd like to review what the auxiliarist needs to do to obtain that award. It's an award you cannot get in 1 year. It is multiple years, depending on your activity level. 1 is public education, 2, public fairs, vessel safety checks and facility inspections, program visitations, or you might as well say marine dealer visits, legislative outreach, and state outreach. Well, I got mine based on vessel safety checks, facility inspections, and program visitors. But I'm liking to encourage all members to start working on it if they haven't started already. The key to vessel safety checks is planning and scheduling a ramp, a marina, a dock in advance. maybe a month in advance. Every division, and you might as well say flotilla, should have an event scheduled for Boater Safety Week. I don't know in totality how many do. I know several do. The only two that I've got firsthand knowledge of right now, Division 5 has that, Division 4 has that, and Division 24 has got a plan. Just to share how well the district did in 2019, the year before COVID, we did 5,300 vessel safety checks in 2019. Not the best year we've ever had, but a very substantial year. Then COVID hit about the 14th or 15th of March, and under the COVID restrictions and order request, mission request for VEs and other things, we were only able to do 1,300. So we reduced our vessel safety checks, or RBS involvement at docks, marinas, and ramps by 250%. So that tells you that with more boats sold, more boats on the water in most areas, actually I have heard numbers that boat sales went up 20%. You couldn't buy a new boat later in the year because there weren't very many restrictions for boaters by the states, the governors, and the CDC. So another key is if you're a new member and you want to be a VE, you need a mentor that's already done this and is very equipped and ready to teach you anything they know. Also, there's a 2021 refresher course that this year, a first year in a long time, that has been mandatory. And that's a 41-page PowerPoint presentation that is now available online. The other thing you can do is take a voluntary practice exam that has 100 questions in it that should cover about everything that the 30-question exam is going to ask. It's an open book test. You can have 2 laptops set up. One is the book and one is the exam, and do pretty well on it. Some people struggle with it. Some people get it the first time based on their experience as a recreational boater and how long they've been in the auxiliary. So far, we haven't logged in too many vessel safety checks this year, but March and April and May will be big banner time, all through all 12 divisions. And all the SOVEs report to me, the ADSO report to me, or anybody that's VE can call me, text me, contact me. I have mentored approximately 15 people in their qualifications for VE, and they're all doing well. And the other thing I might mention is I travel around quite a bit doing VEs with other flotillas, including the western section of Division 8, or District 8. I have been to Colorado, to do VEs for a week. I talked to the flotilla commander in Colorado Springs. They said they haven't had any VE at that location for 5 years. I talked to the park ranger and worked away, so Myself and a family has a summer home in Colorado, not far from a lake called 11 Mile Reservoir, which is a state park reservoir. We've had a lot of good years behind us because of COVID and the restrictions. We've got a lot of ground to make up, especially when boat sales are high and there's a lot of people on the water. So that is the end of my presentation.